The silence of space was both comforting and haunting as Elias sat at the helm of the ship. The crew, a ragtag mix of humans and other species, moved about the ship, preparing for the next step. There was no going back now. They had seen the truth, and there was no turning away. Elias looked out the viewport. His gaze was hard, focused. The mission was clear: build an army, reclaim what had been lost, and show the galaxy that humanity would no longer be left behind. Earth had abandoned them, but they would rise again, on their own terms. Elias, Kira's voice broke his thoughts. She entered the cockpit, her face filled with determination. We've sent out the message to every system we could. It's time to make the next move. He didn't turn to face her. His eyes were fixed on the stars, searching for something, anything. I know, he said quietly, but will they come? Or are we too late? She stepped forward, placing a hand on his shoulder. There are survivors out there, Elias. We just need to find them. The two of them had been traveling for days, sending out distress calls, hoping to reach any surviving human fleets or outposts. They had found nothing but abandoned ships, deserted stations, and empty space. Yet Elias couldn't shake the feeling that there were others out there, waiting for someone to answer their call. Finally, the ship's communications console beeped. Incoming transmission. The voice of the ship's AI called out. Elias's heart skipped a beat. This was it, the moment they had been waiting for. He quickly activated the screen. The face that appeared was weathered, tired, but unmistakably human. A grizzled man in his 40s, with short cropped hair and a scar running down the side of his face. You're the ones who've been sending the messages, the man asked. His voice was rough, worn by years of hardship. Elias didn't hesitate. Yes, we're looking for any survivors, any human ships. We need to join forces. The man's eyes narrowed. And why should we trust you? The galaxy's turned its back on us. Earth is gone. What can you offer? Elias took a deep breath, his mind racing. He had been prepared for this, but now that the moment had come, he felt the weight of the decision bearing down on him. He wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. He was fighting for a future, one where humanity could stand tall, no longer a forgotten race in the cold void. We offer unity, Elias said, his voice steady. We offer a chance to rebuild. We're not just surviving, we're going to fight. Together, we can take back what's ours. And we'll make sure Earth knows they've made a mistake. The man studied him for a long moment, his eyes unreadable. Then he nodded slowly. All right, we'll join you, but I hope you're ready for war. Elias's heart raced, but his expression remained calm. I've been ready for this since the day they left us behind. The transmission cut off, and Elias leaned back in his chair, exhaling slowly. He had made his first ally, but it was only the beginning. There were many more out there, if he could find them. The next few days were a blur of activity. The ship became a hub of communication, reaching out to more systems, more colonies. Slowly but surely the responses began to trickle in. One by one, scattered human ships answered the call. Outposts that had once been abandoned started to wake up. There were whispers of hidden fleets, survivors banding together, and old military vessels gathering dust. But it wasn't just humans who answered. Some of the alien races they had helped, those who had been freed from captivity, also sent word. They too were tired of the oppression, tired of being controlled by the alien factions that had once held them prisoner. It was an army forming, not just of humans, but of those who had been oppressed, those who had been forgotten. The galaxy was vast, and its darkness was overwhelming. But together, they would carve out a new future. Elias stood on the bridge, looking out at the gathering fleet. The first wave of ships was small, scattered and fragile, but they were growing. There was something powerful in their unity, something that had been lost for far too long. The wind blew cold across the ruined battlefield. Smoke still hung in the air, mixing with dust and ash. Broken machines and shattered armor lay like bones of dead giants. Elena moved carefully, pulling the stretcher where Krasin lay. He tried to help, pushing with his one good arm. But every inch was pain. Still, they kept going. The sun had long set. Now the world was black, lit only by stars and the occasional flash of distant fire. "We can't stop in the open," Elena said quietly. "Too risky." Krasin looked around. That wreck. He pointed toward a fallen dropship, half buried in dirt and rubble. Its hull was scorched, but part of it still stood like a broken shelter. Elena nodded. "Let's go." With great effort, she dragged him to the edge of the wreck. Inside, it was dark and smelled like burnt metal, but it was shelter. Elena used her small lamp to light the inside. It wasn't much, but it would hide them from drones and patrols. She helped Krasin sit up against a broken panel, then checked his wounds. "No bleeding," she said. "That's good." Krasin breathed heavily. "You look tired." She gave a tired laugh. "I am." She sat down beside him and took a drink of water. Her hands trembled slightly. "You do all this," Krasin said slowly, "with no backup, no orders. Why?" Elena looked at him. "Because I still believe in something." "In what?" "In saving lives, even during war." Krasin was quiet. Her words were strange to him, but they made something inside him feel warm. Confused, but warm. Outside, they heard a distant sound. A vehicle. Then another. The sound of patrols. They froze. Lights passed far off in the distance, moving slowly across the battlefield. Elena turned off her lamp. The inside of the wreck went dark. They listened, breathing silently. The sound grew louder, then faded again. Minutes passed. Then silence returned. Krasin broke it. "We are lucky." "Maybe," Elena said, "but we can't count on luck forever." She pulled a blanket from her pack and shared it with him. The temperature was dropping fast. Krasin's armor was damaged. It no longer gave warmth. He shivered slightly, and Elena noticed. Without saying a word, she moved closer and shared body heat. Krasin stiffened at first, but then relaxed. No one had done this for him before. Not even his own kind. He looked at her face in the dim light. "You are strange." "I've heard that before," she replied, smiling faintly. "Why do humans care so much, even for enemies?" Elena thought about it. Then she spoke. "Because we've lost too much. We've seen what hate can do. Somewhere along the way we learned. Compassion matters. Not everyone remembers it, but I do." Krasin looked down at his hands. Clawed, covered in scars. Tools of war. "I was trained to destroy, to follow orders, feel nothing. And now?" He didn't answer for a long time. Then he said, "Now I feel confused." Elena didn't push him. She just sat beside him, letting the silence speak. A small noise echoed in the dark. Both of them turned their heads. A soft thud. Then another. Footsteps. Close. Elena grabbed her rifle. Krasin reached for a piece of broken metal. They waited. A shadow passed the entrance of the wreck. It paused, then moved on. They waited 10 more minutes before relaxing. "That was close," Elena whispered. Krasin nodded. "Too close." They didn't sleep that night. The battlefield was alive with sounds. Distant screams, moving patrols, machines searching for survivors. But in that broken wreck, 2 enemies sat side by side. Quiet, awake, thinking. Elena broke the silence once more. "When morning comes, I'll try the comm again. If I can contact base, I'll ask for a rescue. You will tell them. About me." She hesitated. "Yes, they will not want to save me. They'll want answers," she said, "and I'll give them mine. You could get in trouble." "I know. Why risk it?" Elena looked at him. "Because I believe what I did was right. And if they don't, then maybe it's them who need to change." Krasin stared at her. His heart was heavy with thoughts he'd never had before. He wasn't sure who the enemy was anymore. The first light of dawn broke through the wreck, casting long shadows on the cracked walls. Krasin winced as he tried to stretch his aching limbs. His leg throbbed with pain, but he ignored it. The silence from the outside felt almost too quiet, and his instincts told him to stay alert. Alina was already awake, crouched by the broken entrance. She had her wrist device in hand, trying once more to make contact with her people. Her fingers tapped the screen in frustration. "No signal," she muttered. Krasin looked out through the small crack in the wreckage. The battlefield was still, as if holding its breath. The drone activity from the night before was gone, but Krasin knew that wasn't a good sign. The longer they stayed in one place, the greater the risk. "They'll come," he said, breaking the silence. "I know." Alina didn't look up. "But we need a plan. If we wait here too long, we'll be sitting ducks." Krasin shifted slightly, his armor scraping against the wreck. He felt the weight of it, the heavy reminder of the war he'd fought in, the destruction he'd caused. "Where are your people?" Krasin asked. Alina didn't answer at first. She paused, staring at her device as if willing it to show a signal. "I've already told you," she said finally. "They're far away. I'm the only one left out here." Krasin didn't know what to say. He had been taught that humans were weak, easy to defeat. But the longer he stayed with Alina, the more he saw that wasn't true. She was strong, even in the face of everything. A noise broke his thoughts. The sound of distant footsteps, but not the usual clank of armored soldiers. These were lighter, softer. He tensed. "Someone's coming," Alina whispered. Krasin reached for his broken metal shard, ready to fight. But Alina held up a hand, signaling him to stay still. "Don't move," she ordered quietly. Krasin obeyed, but his heart raced. His eyes scanned the distance. There were no soldiers in sight, but the footsteps were closer. Closer. A figure emerged from behind a fallen piece of machinery. It was a human, stumbling, dragging a rifle behind them. The person's clothes were torn, their face smeared with dirt and blood. Alina moved quickly, pulling her rifle up, aiming at the figure. "Who's there?" she called out. The figure froze. Their hands shot up in surrender. "Don't shoot. Please. I'm not here to fight." Alina lowered her rifle, but her eyes remained sharp. "Who are you?" I'm a survivor," the person gasped. "From the attack." The figure collapsed to their knees, coughing violently. Krasin watched silently. The human was weak, too injured to pose a threat. Alina moved forward cautiously, kneeling beside the survivor. "You're safe now. What happened to your unit?" The survivor wiped their face and looked up, eyes full of fear. "They're gone. All gone. The Grolke. They just wiped us out. I was trying to escape." Alina helped them sit up, giving them some water. Krasin stayed still, watching the exchange. The survivor looked between Alina and Krasin, their eyes widening in confusion. You're with a Grolkai." Alina nodded slowly. "Yes, but we're not enemies." The survivors shook their head, still clearly in shock. "I don't understand. I saw you fight. I saw you kill our people." "I had no choice," Krasin said quietly, though the words tasted bitter in his mouth. "I was ordered to destroy. That's all." Alina glanced at Krasin, then back at the survivor. "We're both just trying to survive." The survivor looked down at their hands, blood-stained, trembling. They seemed to understand, but not fully. "We don't have much time," Alina said urgently. "Can you walk?" The survivor nodded weakly, though it was clear they were exhausted. Alina stood up, looking at Krasin. "We need to move. If we stay here too long, they'll find us, and we'll be trapped." Krasin was about to object, but something in Alina's voice told him she was right. He could see it in her eyes. The same determination he'd seen in so many soldiers before. It was the will to live, to fight. And somehow, She had shown him that humans were capable of more than just surviving. The survivor stood with Elena's help, clutching the rifle tightly in their hands. "Let's go," Elena said, her voice steady. They moved quickly, sticking to the shadows, moving away from the wreckage. Krasen's leg ached with every step, but he kept going. He was no longer alone in this fight. He was with Elena, and with someone who, despite being a human, had shown him that even in a war of enemies, there was still a chance for understanding. As they moved, Krasen couldn't help but think. In all his years of training, he had never been taught what to do when the enemy wasn't really the enemy anymore. But with Elena by his side, maybe there was something more to this war than just killing. The underground facility was old but alive. Lights buzzed above Elias Vane's head as he walked deeper into the alien bunker. His steps were no longer slow. Whatever the healing pod had done to him, it worked. His pain was gone. His broken bones were whole again. But there was something else. Something strange inside him. His heart beat slower. His eyes glowed in the dark. His skin felt tougher. And his mind, sharper. He could hear machines humming through the walls. He could feel them. "What am I now?" he whispered. The hallway ahead opened into a large chamber. Massive machines, alien in shape, stood like sleeping giants. Blue lights flickered across tubes and control panels. In the center of the room was a strange platform, surrounded by floating orbs. He stepped onto it. The orbs lit up. A deep voice echoed inside his head, not in sound, but thought. Human detected. Unauthorized species. Initiating adaptive interface. Suddenly, a flash of light. The room spun. Elias fell to his knees, holding his head. Memories not his own began to flow into his mind. Alien war strategies, medical procedures, languages of races he had never met. "Stop," he shouted. The light vanished. He gasped for air. Now he understood something terrifying. This place wasn't just a medical center. It was a military testing site. These machines were used to enhance soldiers, alien soldiers, and now one of them had changed him. He turned toward a console. His fingers moved without thinking. The alien controls felt familiar now. Bioenhancement successful. Side effects: emotional drift, molecular instability, neural expansion. Warning: human body may reject implants over time. He stared at the screen. He was dying slowly. Again. But this time, not from war. From what he had become. Still, he had no regrets. "I'm alive," he muttered. "I'll find a way to stay alive." Suddenly, alarms echoed through the bunker. Red lights blinked. The computer spoke. "Unknown vessel approaching. Hostile signature detected." Elias looked up at the display. A small alien warship had landed near the entrance. A recon team. They were scanning the ruins above. If they entered the bunker, they would find him. And he wasn't ready to die. Not yet. He rushed back toward the entrance, grabbing supplies as he moved. Alien injectors, energy cells, and a strange blade made of crystal. It felt weightless in his hand. Near the surface, he stopped and crouched low behind a broken wall. Through a crack, he saw them. 4 alien soldiers, tall, insect-like, with glowing red eyes. Their armor buzzed as they moved. Their weapons pulsed with heat. They weren't here to help survivors. They were cleaning up, killing anything still alive. Elias waited. He remembered his training. Years ago on Earth, he was just a medic. He patched wounds, gave injections, and comforted the dying. He had never killed anyone. Now he had no choice. One soldier moved closer, scanning the ground. Its head turned toward Elias. In that moment, Elias jumped. The alien fired, but too late. Elias rolled, slashed upward with the crystal blade. The alien dropped, gurgling. The others turned, shouting in their own tongue. Elias used the body as cover, ducked low, and threw a smoke charge. He moved like lightning. One by one, the enemies fell. It wasn't clean. It wasn't perfect. But it worked. When the smoke cleared, Elias stood among the bodies, breathing heavy, hands bloody, heart steady. He didn't feel fear. He felt awake. The battle above was quiet again. The stars looked down, uncaring. Elias stared at the alien ship. Its door was still open. He climbed inside. The ship's systems activated with a hum. The interface translated to English, slowly. Welcome, user. Command input. Elias sat in the pilot's seat. He wasn't ready to fly off yet, but now he had a way out, a way forward. He looked at the stars. Out there, the galaxy had left him to die. Out there, Earth had forgotten him. But he wasn't dead. And he wasn't just a medic anymore. Krasin slowly opened his eyes. The sky above was darker now. Stars had begun to shine, cold and silent. The pain in his body was still there, but not as sharp. Something had changed. He turned his head slightly. The human was still beside him. She had removed her helmet. Her face was pale, with short dark hair and calm brown eyes. She was checking the medical bandages she had placed on his chest and arm. Her movements were gentle but quick. She looked focused, like she had done this many times before. Krasin stared at her. He didn't understand. Why was she still here? She should have left, or called for soldiers to finish him. But instead, she was still trying to save him. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice rough. "Corporal Alina Vale," she replied. "Combat medic, Earth Defense Force." "Why save? Enemy." Alina glanced at him. "Because you're not just an enemy. You're a living being. I don't leave people to die, even if they wear different armor." Krasin blinked. No one from the Grol K would ever say such a thing. His people believed kindness was weakness. Helping the enemy was betrayal. If he did the same thing, he would be executed. He looked away. "You are strange." Alina gave a small smile. "I get that a lot." She checked the small screen on her wrist. Her eyes narrowed. "No signal," she muttered. "Still too much interference from the battle. My comm won't reach command. You will call others to capture me." She didn't answer for a moment. Then she shook her head. "Not yet. If they come now, they might shoot first and ask questions later. I don't want them to kill you." Krasin stared at her again, shocked. "You protect me from your own people." "For now, yes," she said simply. "You're hurt. You can't fight. You're not a threat. That makes you my patient." Krasin didn't know what to say. This was not the ward he knew. This was not the enemy he had been trained to hate. Alina stood and walked a few steps to check the edge of the crater. She scanned the area, then came back down. "We're in a dead zone," she said. "No drones nearby, but they'll come soon. Both sides are still sweeping the area." She sat down beside him and opened a food pack. The smell of warm protein and bread filled the air. Krasin's stomach growled. She looked at him and raised an eyebrow. "Hungry?" He didn't answer, but his eyes stayed on the food. Without a word, Alina tore the pack in half and handed part of it to him. Krasin looked at the food, then at her. "You trust me with this?" "I'm sitting next to a 2-meter alien with claws and sharp teeth," she said. "If you were going to kill me, you would have tried already." Krasin gave a quiet grunt, almost a laugh. He took the food and began to eat, slowly, carefully. It tasted simple, but it warmed his body, and it reminded him he hadn't felt warmth in days. They sat in silence for a while. Then Krasin spoke. "You are not what I expected." "Neither are you," Alina said. "You're not just a monster like the news says. You were told we are all monsters." "Yes," she said, "but I don't believe everything I hear." Krasin fought about her words. His people told him the same things about humans, that they were violent, heartless, cruel. But Alina was none of those things. She had risked her life to save him. She was sharing her food. She treated him like a person. The silence between them was no longer heavy. It was calm, almost peaceful. Then, in the distance, they heard the low hum of engines. Elena stood up quickly. She looked toward the sound. "Drones," she whispered. "Enemy ones. We need to stay low." She dropped beside him again and grabbed her rifle, ready to defend them both. Krasin looked at her, surprised. "You would fight? To protect me?" "Yes," she said. "I don't want to lose my patient." Krasin didn't understand this human, but for the first time, he felt something strange in his chest. Hope. Kira walked up beside him, her gaze following his. "This is it, Elias. We've got the numbers now." He nodded, but his face was set in a grim line. "It's not enough. Not yet. We'll take the fight to them," Kira said. "The Galactic Council will see what happens when they push us too far." Elias turned to her. "I've been in their shoes. I know what it's like to be left behind. But now, we're not fighting just for survival. We're fighting for respect. For a future." "And what about Earth?" Kira asked. "Will they ever come to our aid?" Elias's eyes darkened. "I don't know. But we're not waiting for them anymore. We'll make them see we've been here all along." The fleet was ready, but Elias knew that the hardest battle lay ahead. The Galactic Council wouldn't just sit back and watch humanity rise again. They had to be prepared for war, for sacrifice. But they weren't alone anymore. The galaxy was about to find out what humanity could do when pushed to the edge. "The call has been made," Elias said. "Now we answer." The ships assembled in space, a small fleet that had risen from the ashes of abandonment. The air was thick with tension, but also with anticipation. They weren't just going to survive anymore. They were going to make the galaxy remember who they were. Elias stood on the bridge, watching the holomap flicker with new readings. The alliance they had built wasn't perfect. It was ragged, built from the remnants of humanity and oppressed alien races, but it was growing stronger with each passing hour. "All ships are in position," Kira's voice echoed through the bridge. She stepped up beside him, her eyes as sharp as ever. "We're ready." Elias turned to her, his face hard. "It's now or never. We fight for our future," she added, her voice steady. Outside the window, the galaxy stretched before them. It was a vast, cold place, filled with both beauty and danger. But it was theirs now, humanity's future, not anyone else's. No longer forgotten, no longer abandoned. The fleet was ready to strike. The first target, a remote Galactic Council outpost, one of the many places that had rejected humanity's plea for help. It was a stronghold, but it was vulnerable. And with Earth's fleets nowhere to be found, it was up to them to take the fight to the heart of the galaxy. "All ships, engage," Elias ordered, his voice firm. "Let them know who we are." The fleet moved forward, its engines roaring to life. The once quiet ships now buzzed with energy. There was no turning back now. Minutes later, the enemy outpost appeared on the horizon. It was massive, a floating city in space, but it was slow, vulnerable to a well-timed strike. The first volley of fire from their ships lit up the darkness, streaking across space like deadly comets. The outpost didn't know what hit it. "They're responding," Kira said, her voice tense. "But they're too slow." The enemy fired back, their weapons lighting up the dark void. But the fleet had learned. Every ship was built with speed and precision in mind. They weren't just relying on brute force. They were using strategy, agility, and the element of surprise. The alien ship was quiet. Elias Vane sat alone in the pilot's seat. Around him, glowing panels hummed softly. He tapped a few buttons. The ship responded like it knew him. Even though it was not built for humans, he understood the controls. Maybe it was the implant. Maybe it was something more. But he was learning fast. A message flashed across the screen. "Life signs detected, 2.3 kilometers west. faint, fading. He stared at it. Another survivor. He didn't know if it was human or alien, but someone was still alive out there. And he couldn't ignore it. "Set course," he said. The ship hovered above the battlefield. The engines were silent, smooth. Below, burned land and fallen machines stretched to the horizon. After a few minutes, the ship slowed and lowered near a shattered cliff. Smoke rose from below. Elias jumped down. The wind was sharp. Dust stung his face. He followed the signal through a narrow path between broken rocks. His crystal blade was ready. His new eyes scanned everything. Heat, movement, sound. Then he saw it. A metal pod, half buried under rubble. It was a human escape unit. Elias ran to it and pulled the hatch open. Inside was a young woman in a torn uniform, blood on her forehead, breathing shallow. Her name tag read, Lieutenant Kira Mendez. He checked her pulse. Weak, but alive. "You're gonna be okay," he whispered. He lifted her out carefully. His strength had grown. He could carry her with ease. As he walked back toward the ship, her eyes flickered open. Who are you?" she asked. "Medic Elias Vane. I was left behind," he said, "but not dead yet." "You? Your eyes." She stared at his glowing eyes, his strange skin tone, the crystal blade on his back. "What happened to you?" she whispered. "Long story," he said. "You'll hear it soon." They reached the ship. Elias placed her in the back, attached a small alien med unit to her arm. It beeped and began healing her wounds. She winced, then relaxed. The pain was fading. "I thought I was the last one," she said weakly. "You're not. Not while I'm here." He turned to the controls. The ship lifted again. "Any signal from command?" she asked. Elias looked at the console. He had checked earlier. Still nothing from Earth's forces. They had truly abandoned the battlefield. "Nothing," he said. "Either they don't care, or they think we're all dead." Then, what now? He stared ahead. The stars twinkled in the sky. So many planets. So many dangers. "We survive," he said. "We find others. We fight if we have to." Kira sat up slowly. Her strength was returning. "You're not a normal medic," she said. "Something's different." He nodded. "I used alien tech. I didn't have a choice. It saved me. But it changed me. Are you still human?" He thought for a moment, then looked her in the eyes. "I don't know. But I still remember Earth. I still remember my daughter's face. I still want to protect people." "Then that's enough," she said. Suddenly, a red light blinked on the screen. "Incoming transmission. Source unknown. Message encrypted." Elias opened the signal. A robotic voice crackled through. "To any survivors, this is Sergeant Kellen. Human prisoners, being moved to Outpost VX-91. Help." Then static. Elias looked at Kira. "You heard that. Prisoners. That means others are alive," she said. "We can't ignore it." "We don't even know where VX-91 is," she said. He smiled faintly. "But this ship does." He tapped a few buttons. A star map appeared. The outpost blinked red, deep in enemy territory. "It's a trap," Kira said. "Maybe, or maybe it's a chance. And if we go there, then we make it our first rescue." She looked at him, his glowing eyes, his calm voice, the steady way he planned. She nodded. "Let's go then. Let's bring them back." The ship turned in the sky, its engines humming like thunder. Behind them, the ruins of the battlefield faded into the distance. Ahead, the stars waited. Krasin pressed his back against the side of the crater. The pain in his leg was growing again, but he stayed quiet. Above, the soft hum of alien drones moved across the battlefield like hungry insects. The sound made his heart beat faster. Elena crouched beside him, her rifle ready. She didn't move, didn't speak. Her eyes followed the sound carefully. "They're Grolkai," she whispered. "Your drones." Krasin nodded. "Recon class. They scan heat, movement, and sound." "Can they see us here?" "If they fly low enough, yes." Alina glanced at her wrist device. It still showed no signal. Her voice was calm, but Krasin could feel the tension in her body. He recognized the look in her eyes. She was ready to fight, but not eager to. The drone came closer. Krasin's sharp ears picked up the shift in its engines. It was descending. Alina pulled a thermal blanket from her pack and threw it over them both. It blocked heat signals, but only for a short time. They held their breath together as the shadow of the drone passed above. It hovered for a moment. Krasin could hear the clicking of its scanners. Then, finally, it moved away. After a long minute, Alina lifted the blanket slowly. The drone was gone. "That was too close," she said quietly. Krasin looked at her. "Why not let them find me? They are my people." "They'd kill you," she said simply. "You're wounded. They'd think you're a failure. Isn't that how your empire works?" Krasin was silent. She was right. The Grolkai didn't rescue the weak. They didn't believe in second chances. If the drone had found him, it would have reported his location for a cleanup squad. And those squads didn't bring medics. They brought fire. "You know too much about us," he said. "I studied," Alina replied. "Before this war started, I read everything I could about your kind." "Why?" "Because I wanted to understand who we were fighting. Not just the weapons or tactics. The people." Krasin was quiet again. He looked up at the night sky. It felt strange to talk like this. A human soldier, sitting beside a Grolkai warrior, both hiding from death. They should be enemies. They should be trying to kill each other. But instead, they were surviving together. "You asked me why I saved you," Alina said softly. "Now I'll ask you something." Krasin turned his head. "Why didn't you kill me when you woke up? You're stronger than me. I gave you food, medicine. You could have attacked." He thought for a moment. "I was trained to fight," he said slowly. "To destroy. But I was not trained for this." "For what?" "Kindness." Alina didn't speak. She understood the weight of his words. "You confuse me," Krasin said after a while. "You risk your life for someone who would be your enemy." "You weren't my enemy when I saw you bleeding," Alina replied. "You were just someone dying. That's all I saw." Silence returned, but this time it was not cold or tense. It felt like something was changing between them. Alina looked at her wrist again. Still no signal. "If we stay here, we'll both die." She stood up and pulled a small folding stretcher from her pack. "We're moving," she said. Krasin raised an eyebrow. "You can't carry me." "I don't plan to. You'll help me." "I can't walk." "You can crawl." He growled in pain as he moved his good arm and pulled himself up slightly. Alina slipped the stretcher under his body. It was hard. Every movement made him grit his teeth, but she didn't give up. And neither did he. Slowly, they began to crawl out of the crater. The battlefield was quiet now, but danger still hid in the shadows. Both sides could send scouts at any time. One wrong move, one loud noise, and it would be over. But they kept moving. Together, human and alien.